So what do you
quickly.
do for fun? What do you do to blow off steam? You play video games? You play
Uh, s-
golf? What?
well, I pretend to play golf. I'm absolutely horrible, but I love getting out there. Anytime I can be in the sun and being on the golf course for a couple of hours, I'm a big fan. Now my kids are starting to get into golf, so I'd read this thing the other day where if you get your kids into golf, you'll always have a golfing buddy for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get into that. I work out 3 to 5 days a week. I like I said, I get up around like 4. I'm in the gym around 5. That's typically how I blow off steam. But I do play video games. We have an active Thursday night group that we have been. So during lockdown, kind of in the COVID years, we had this idea. We had some friends of ours from high school that we all lived relatively close by, but obviously we couldn't leave at the time. And I hit everyone up and I was like, hey, what if we did back when we all lived close to each other, we used to meet up Thursday nights to grab a beer. And I said, well, what if we did that, but virtually? Like we all have good internet, like all of our games we can play online and do that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So for the last 5 years, we have all got together Thursday nights around like 8:30 and we play hour, 2, maybe 3, depending on the night. And we just kind of hang out digitally. I mean, it's not ideal. And we definitely do it a lot more in person now that we're not, sequestered to our houses. We still, to this day, I mean, we're recording this on a Thursday. I've already gotten a text this morning like, hey, the new video game thing that we're doing tonight is out. Make sure you have the
Yeah, because
download and all this
it
stuff.
happens to be Thursday, so
Yep.
your buddies are hitting you up like, you in tonight?
Oh, we will. My wife, around 8:30 tonight, she'll be like, did you get the call yet? And she's just waiting on that ding to come on my phone. And when it does, she knows I'm escaping upstairs for some getaway time. And, we banter. We're normal guys. We banter. We make fun of each other. And we're not very good. We're all over 35. So we're not very good. But we like to have fun and pretend like we're still children.
I love it. Absolutely love it. What are you doing with your kids after school today?
Today, well, we got to go get juice boxes. They got their party tomorrow, so we'll have to do that. But this afternoon, we're probably, now that it's stopped raining here in Charleston, we've had just a couple of days of just like absolute rain and clouds, and we average, I think, over 300 days of sunshine. So the sun's out. I'm looking at some blue skies in my window right now, and so we're going to be practicing a little bit of baseball this afternoon. I say practice. We'll get out there, throw. We'll hit some balls off the tee, and we'll just get out there, have some fun. Anything to get them running around and kind of doing. And they start basketball, I think, in 2 weeks. So we'll probably also hit up a couple of foul shots when we get back to the house on the house goal and do it that way. But we'll play it by ear. No hard schedules. But again, I'll get to pick them up and we'll go hang out. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, they're lucky to have their dad who's
Well,
in town and present and involved. In general terms, what do you think about the impact of AI on what we're doing?
I think if used correctly, it's a tool and an asset. I think if you lean on it too much, you don't truly understand what's going on or if it's saying the right things. And I think, for example, as we mentioned a bunch of times, my wife's a lawyer and I'm in charge of making sure things like our house rules, terms and conditions, and all that kind of stuff are up to date. We change things from time to time. Well, one thing that I noticed was, I would ask her, I said, hey, I need to update this clause, whether it's the force majeure, which is our named storm policy, if you will, clause, or if we need to update our parking clause or anything like that.
A whole episode on force majeure.
But previously I would say, hey, can you write one for me? And she has a bunch of stuff she's written before. So typically she'll pull it, reword it, make it fit for our property. However, what I do now is I'll run it through an AI model. And I'll say, here's what I need it to say. Here's the one from all the big OTAs. I'll feed it a bunch of data. And then I'll say, write one for me. Here's information about my property. Write one for me. And then what I'll do is I'll take that and I'll send it to her. And I'll say, hey, bless it or change it. That's all I'll say. Bless it or change it. And then she'll either reply back with a thumbs up on the email or she'll redline it. And then I'll use it. And it saves us a ton of time. I was waiting. Again, I get free legal work. Sorry for those who are not married to an attorney. But the caveat to the free legal work is I'm not at the front of the line. She has to pay the bill. She has to bill hours. So, it could have been a week, 2 weeks before she got to it. Or, I'm asking her at 9:00 at night where she's physically exhausted. I'm like, hey, can you just look at this force majeure policy real quick?
Not tonight, buddy.
Right. And so, That's what happens when you're 40. You're talking about force majeure policies at 9 o'clock at night.
Right.
But
Nobody has energy for force majeure at 9 o'clock at night.
So now I think with AI, it's just made it a little bit easier for us to have these types of conversation. And I tell it, I'm like, write it in legalese. And, again, always run it by an attorney. You got to have somebody with local knowledge, state level knowledge, county level knowledge on what to write and do. So I would not trust it to just be my attorney. I have definitely caught it saying incorrect things. Right. However, I think if you're using it as a tool and you understand how to use it as a prompt, then it's definitely something that is great. I mean, I fed it. One of the best things that I did was I fed it I found a bunch of short-term rentals, and I love their descriptions. Their descriptions were great, and I fed it all those.
That's one of the ways that I use it, is when I'm a listing agent. I will write what I think is a really cool, very provocative listing description of this property, and I'd send it through Grok or Chat GPT, and it comes back and it rewrites. It's like, fuck, that's so much better than what I wrote. And so then and there may be a misnomer here or there that I'll correct, but it was like, this is the thought organization. And even the emotion of it is better. It's like, I'm a human, and this machine has better emotions than I do.
Well, I'll put it so for anybody that has a short-term rental, here's the one that like has blown me away that I use it for. So
what's up?
So occasionally in all of our units, unfortunately, they do not have the same appliances, right? The dishwasher, we have three units. 2 of the 3 have the same dishwasher. 1 does not. They each have the same TV, but like the HVAC is a little bit different, so on and so forth, right? Occasionally we'll get a question from a guest. Hey, how do I use X? Whether it's the oven, the microwave, the dishwasher, the TV. So I took some time. I'm a big fan of using different AI models for different responsibilities. Notebook LM, which is one of Google's models, is really good at, if you give it data, it'll spit out, like you can give it PDFs, websites, things like that. Just feed it to it and it'll spit out some really cool things. Well, it has all of our user manuals for all of our appliances. So when a guest asks, how do I use X appliance? I put it back into the Notebook LM and I say, tell me how to use this appliance in 3 to 5 steps, based on what the guest is asking. And it spits out a response, and I'm telling it, and I have a saved a message that I kind of use as a prompt. And I'm saying, hey, reply to this as you're replying to a guest, but tell it in 3 to 5 steps how to do what the guest is asking. And it checks the user manual and then replies, and I just copy and paste it and put it in our reply. I never have to read a user manual.
Yeah, it's astonishing. And I'm sure I use it. I'm Gen X, but I probably use it like a boomer. Ryan's behind the camera nodding furiously.
Right. Yes, you do.
You use Chat GPT like a boomer, even though I'm Gen X. I'm not a boomer. But yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated with it. As I said, I'm messing with Grok and have used Chat GPT a lot. And it helps me clarify my thinking. It's weird. It's like having an editor or a personal assistant or somebody that I could say, read this and improve it for me. But it's AI.
Yep.
And it's AI. I mean, I don't like the word but. So, and it's AI.
And I think, I spend a lot of time, probably more time than I like to admit. I will go on YouTube as like a way to learn things. I'm a visual kinesthetic learner, so I will be on YouTube a bunch. I've learned and have saved a bunch of creators that it's all about writing the right prompt, right? It's prompting the AI to do the thing. So I've learned some tricks of the trade. I have some saved prompts that I repeat on a regular basis because I don't want to rewrite the same thing. So if you can get your prompt, like one of the things I learned is, hey, give me this response, but before you do, ask me 5 more questions to clarify what you need from me to do so. To do it. And then it asks questions. And sometimes you feel like you could have just written the whole thing if you would have just answered those 5 questions yourself. But oftentimes I find I'm not as strong of a writer as I am a numbers guy, that it'll spit out a way better response to, like you were saying, Russ, than I could have ever written.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm a great writer until I run it through an editor. Then not so much.
Correct. I do keep my y'alls in there. I tell it to keep my y'alls. Y'alls are really important.
Okay. Very important. And back in the 1900s, when I was in college, my kids love to say that to me.
It irks me every time I hear it. Someone's, well, how about this? I got one for you.
Right.
Again,
What
my
was
kids
it
are
like in the 1900s? I said, well, I went to college with a typewriter and a suitcase. One suitcase and a typewriter. That was all of my equipment for college. And Ryan wants to know if they had electricity in those days. We did. It was an electric typewriter, actually.
Oh, there you go. My kids asked me how long cars have been around, and the other day, and I said, son, they've been around for a long time. You know, I'm thinking back in my head, like 1902, 1905, somewhere in there. And I didn't say that out loud, but I was doing the math, and he goes, you know, probably since the 80s. And I was like, stop. Don't you never say that again.
Yeah. So AI is a brave new world.
It is. You use it as a tool.
I'm embracing it as much as I can, and it's definitely a tool, and hopefully not our cosmic overlord yet.
Yeah, so. No, it's almost like they should make a movie about it going bad.
There have been a few,
yeah, a few.
Cody, it's been an absolute pleasure. I love what you're doing. We didn't really talk a whole lot about real estate or investments, but we know that those things support your lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And that's really what this is about. It's not so much a mechanical, how. It's more about the why. And I really appreciate you sharing with us.
You went to a bar, refused a shot, didn't buy no beer, and said, I'll tell you what, my name is Russ, I'm on the mic, so listen to my podcast.